This is Country Music Dads, the parenting podcast with a twang. We're driving a highly subjective, comically contrarian, often irreverent conversation about fatherhood and country music for people who have a passion for both. My name is Donnie, and I am a country music dad. Dave is still on leave, but he'll be with us from the editing suite. This week, we'll be speaking with Ryan Posner, a Los Angeles-based bass player, sideman, and musical director, about balancing his home and professional life. Ryan is a father of 2 teenage girls and serves as a fairly balanced partner with his wife when it comes to raising them. This is largely due to his superhero-like schedule. When night falls, Ryan transforms from dad to the baseline, defending honky-tonks from Los Angeles to Austin, Nashville to Bakersfield, from sloppy beats and boring riffs. Excuse me, sorry about that. Currently, he serves as the musical director for the Y'all Star Revue, a regular Thursday night showcase at the original Desert 5 spot in Hollywood. This event highlights the best of local and touring country music acts who are on the verge of breaking out. Ryan's also a good friend and fellow dad in the local music scene. There are only so many of us, so I'm very excited to have him join us today here on the show. So Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, my name is Ryan Posner, and I feel verklempt about being Donnie Cutler's friend. Wait, not this podcast. Oh. Hello, Donnie. How are you?
It's good to see you. Good to talk to you. Indeed. As the parenting thing does get in the way of the honky-tonking every once in a while.
For some of
us. Yeah, well, I have younger kids than you, so that we'll get into that. Bedtime routines are often complex, and they usually start at around 4:30 when hunger starts. It's exciting. But yeah, so Ryan, tell us a little bit about your journey to how you got to where you are today professionally.
I've been gigging in LA since I was 16 years old. I moved out here when I was 10 from Connecticut. So born in Connecticut, raised in LA. So at 16, I started playing with rock bands, and then one rock band to another. I was always in a band situation. And it was always on various levels of like, oh, we feel like we're about to break through and we're touring and we're selling this place out and this place out, but it was always kind of a one at a time journey. A few years before the pandemic, so maybe 2018, I want to start playing country music, which I hadn't really done much of before. I was in mostly like rock and roll bands, but I never really felt like I had, like I would always ask myself, if I wasn't in this band, would I listen to this band? Which is to say, I don't think I ever was in my exact right place. Mm-hmm. Right before that, actually, I had answered an ad on Craigslist because I just wanted to play music at that point. I just wanted to see what was going on. So I was kind of going to say yes to anything, just answer. So I answered a few ads. I ended up playing with a band called A Few Miles South. So that was kind of my first country music thing. Then I was like, I really am digging this because country music had always been in my life in one way or another, even though it wasn't my primary focus or even what I primarily listened to growing up. My first concert ever was my dad taking me to Willie Nelson. It must have been like 1983 or 4, so I would have been 5 or 6. As we saw
Did the braids just materialize after
and then
the show?
They just grew. Yeah. I had baby peach fuzz, and then it all just grew out into braids.
That's impressive.
Thank you. That was the very first concert ever. Second concert ever was Weird Al Yankovic opening for the Monkees. All 3 of these were in the same venue. And that more or less sums up my entire musical existence right there is the combination of all those things meeting.
That's great.
But we'll get to that later. It had always been something I loved, but I just didn't realize how much I loved it until I started playing with A Few Miles South. And then I put an ad saying bass player seeking because I had also got an upright bass when I was playing A Few Miles South, and I was just kind of getting into that and getting into bluegrass and just upright bass the way it was so physical, and like I just wanted to be able to play it fast and just play like really fast burning bluegrass. So I put an ad for myself on Craigslist saying country music, country bass, upright, blah, blah, blah. 2 people replied to it. The group was called the Slick City Pickers. So that became my bluegrass quartet that I was in, and we would meet up once a week and we would play retirement homes, that type of gig. There's a country club near their house, so we would play the Chevy Chase Country Club in Glendale. And then the other guy who answered it was Jerry Zinn, who you may know.
Yes, I do.
And that led to me playing with West of Texas. I can almost taste the whiskey on your lips. Then the pandemic happened, and what changed my life was Ken Burns' country music documentary. Playing country music at the time and then watching that over the pandemic, so everything state of mind is already just weird. So I'm watching this documentary with my AirPods on my phone and on my iPad. So it's real intimate. It's like, right. You know what I mean? It's like, there's just something about
Yeah,
the whole
right in your
time.
face.
The music I had been playing, and then really the connection with how there's a straight through line from the original, like Western music as we know it, American, US music, the three things that we can lay claim to. Of course, all music is derived from all other music, but the three things that we lay claim to: blues, jazz, and country music. Oh yeah, the music I'm playing now is a direct descendant, like it's just the next in line of this generation of, and I can see this clear line in being that connected. We have always used music to tell stories, and that music has always sounded, no matter where you were on the face of the earth, it all sounds a little bit like country music. For the most part, all folk music sounds, you know, it has that dun, 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 and so many cultures that people just came up with on their isolated parts of the earth, right? And we all came up with these same changes. So it's just fundamental to who we are as human beings, with vibration and with, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and
You got to move, you got to dance, you got to sing.
exactly. You got to tell stories, you got to dance. Exactly. It's part of being human. That's what that documentary really did for me, was kind of just see how important it was. Okay, I get it. It's not like this fun little hobby to pursue. And that's what really made me decide, okay, after this, I'm going to just like dedicate my whole self to trying to be a full-time professional country, bluegrass, et cetera, musician.
That's pretty wild. How did you get to the bass? Was that something that you always had played, or was it like, hey, I have a great stank face, so I'm going to play the bass?
I wanted to play the bass in third grade, going to elementary school, but third graders were too small to play the bass. You had to be fourth grade. So I played the biggest thing I could, now that I'm saying it out loud, it could be some Freudian situation or something. Do I need to spell this out, Donnie? Anyway, so I played the cello. But I liked the bass back then. Played the cello for a year, moved out to LA. And then I just was with a friend who played guitar, and he had a bass, and I picked it up and I started playing it again, and I just always loved it. So that's it. I was just always attracted to the bass.
We seem to be attracted to the bass here at the Country Music Dads. We've interviewed Ted Russell Camp, another member of the esteemed LA community, Sean Burns from Canada, who also plays the upright bass and electric bass. What's the connection here? Is there something about the bass that makes you a good father, or is it just that I happen to know a lot of bass players?
It's a direct correlation. In all seriousness, if you look at the role that the bass as an instrument plays in a musical setting, typically in most music, in most American music, in most Western, in most music, it's even personality-wise vastly different than what you would expect from a lead guitar player who wants to shred and be up front and do stuff, and certainly a lead singer. So I would think that somebody whose primary instrument is bass, we are by and large a certain type of person, perhaps. The stated role of a bass player for most music is that you're there to support the other musicians. You're framing the music so that they can go off on their adventures, and you're providing that backbone. You and of course the drums, if the music has drums.
There's a little dad nature. You're like the band dad.
It wouldn't be too much of a leap to make that parallel.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that.
And we know that guitar players are terrible fathers. I think that's kind of what you're implying. If I'm picking up, you were texting me that earlier. I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot or call you out, but I think we're implying that all guitar players are terrible fathers. And don't get started with drummers. No,
they just bang on things. This devolved quickly from where we were talking about it nicely to then just busting on everybody else. So let's get into a little bit of the fatherhood aspect of this. You have 2 teenage kids at home. How does that work with your work? Is it, as I said in the opening?
I will say, with your lovely intro, it wasn't always as balanced of a balance. And I was not the father I could have been early on. We'll put it that way. But then again, I also wasn't a professional gigging musician early on. But I just want the record to be known, and I would like to shout out to Alex, my wife. I love you. Thank you for raising our children. No, not entirely. It did become balanced. She's a morning person. I'm a night person. So that kind of worked out well in a lot of ways as far as the parenting goes. One of the things I love more than anything else is going back to bed. So me getting out of bed, driving my kid to school, then getting back into bed, then yes, super dad of the year, because I did that a lot.
It's a balancing act even till today. I mean, your kids are much older than mine. I mean, you started doing this after the pandemic, and I got to imagine that having a tween and a young teenager during that time period was less than ideal as your kids were essentially finding out who they were as, young adults, and you finding out, I really do want to pursue this music professionally. Has there been kind of a self-discovery that has taken place in tandem?
Yes, but I don't know what the alternate would be. Like, I don't know what it would have looked like without all that, because that's just the way it unfolded. You know what I mean? So, of course, you hope that you're not the same person, or I hope I'm not the same person I am in a year. You know what I mean? You're always evolving, and just by nature of having kids, everyone grows up.
All right, so let's shift gears a bit. You are the musical director of the Y'all Star Revue, which is the program that takes place on Thursday nights in Hollywood at the Desert 5 spot. What is the Y'all Star Revue, and how did it come about?
The Y'all Star Revue is a mostly weekly showcase of emerging artists and talent locally, or touring acts, national acts as well, come in and sit with us. The framework of it, the general idea, is that we have 4 guests, some local, some touring through. My band is the Y'all Star Band. I'm the band leader and the musical director. And with these guest artists, we do 2 of their originals that my band backs them for, and 2 of their 2 cover songs. So it's a really, really fun show. Then we also have a headline act, or who last week we had Kimmy Bitter. That was great.
Grass is blue. That's how it grows since I lost
All sorts of
you.
great guests dropping by. We did, not to get too deep into plug-a-rama here, but Allie and AJ had their record release party at our show, and we did the Showbud pedal steel, the West Coast relaunch we had there, and that was just a really, really great event.
That was pretty
So
cool.
it provides us this platform to do all sorts of cool stuff that we are doing, and it's chugging along with my partner and MC, Beard Bates. Yes, that is his real name. He always
Really?
says that. He says, yes, I'm Beard. Yes, that is my real name, because he has a very long beard.
He was like destined to have that, I suppose.
He was destined to have it. So that's the Y'all Star Revue in a nutshell.
You have a pretty specific mission, and we've talked about this a bunch, and I think it's quite interesting, is that you're trying to platform the best of the talent around, as well as showing a little bit more the range of country music, where it's going, where it's been from, and maybe not something that you'd necessarily hear on country radio, but as well as going beyond what perhaps might be expected in kind of an alt country underground experience. It's a real range of artists. How do you feel that mission's going? Are you hitting that balance right? And how is that being received by those folks who are attending? Perhaps not exactly what they were expecting at a nightclub on a roof in Hollywood.
I could not be happier with Desert 5 spot. I love that place so much. What they offer and what they are is so great. And to have that opportunity on Thursday night to platform, getting back to, like, in terms of, subgenres of country, I love that we'll have a traditional artist, and then like kind of a hip hop country artist will come and we'll do something with them, and a much more pop country artist. And then who knows? And D5 is kind of like part of the origin story of a lot of artists who've come up lately, like Shabuzi.
What a hell of a year it's been. Head in a bottle, put my heart in a case.
Dasha, I got to play with her because of my connection with Desert 5 spot.
Stop working, did your truck break down? Did you burn through money? Did your ex find out?
The response is always so fulfilling and so tremendous that, to answer that part of the question, it's just like, it's absolutely so much fun. The band that I have is so incredible. The machine, we've been doing it for 2 years. September is our 2-year anniversary month of having started the Y'all Star Revue, being the band leader of it. The machine that we have there, and how we have it dialed in, and how great the band is. And my goal, like, I want to be, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's the closest thing that we could possibly have to a Grand Ole Opry of the West Coast. You know what I mean? With that
Some
level
big
of
words right there.
I mean, and I don't mean to say that we are that, but in terms of just being able to have a place where there's a house band of the level that's doing what we're doing with these originals and with this covers, it's really Jesus, now I just sound like I'm bragging. But it's
a pretty good band, man.
It's a great band, and we elevate all of our guests who are already incredible. So it's just like, it's a freaking love fest every Thursday. And because it's such a machine, I'm doing this every week with 4 guests doing 4 songs each. So I don't always get enough time to talk to all the artists in as much depth. I kind of have to be like, so a lot of times they have no idea what to expect. They're coming into it a little blind unless they've seen the show before, but they don't know how rehearsal is going to go. And then they just kind of get swept up into this thing that we got going. And I love that. And we take really good care of them. It feels amazing for me to be able to platform these artists, and so many of them. Desert 5 spot, which is this really special place where it's like a family. Everyone over there loves each other. You know what I mean? It's like this really incredible thing, but just the framework of it being like a Grand Ole Opry, where literally the biggest Nashville act can give us whatever notice, a day's notice, and we could back them. And that's just all available. It's really great to be a part of that, and to be able to give younger artists who may not have experienced this level of what we're doing a shot is also great. It's really great.
Yeah, I mean, the recent show that I went to that was quite impressive. You had Brett Tomberlin, who had his single debut at the Gibson Guitar Lounge before he came up and sang his song, which I would say is right on the line of pretty modernized bro country.
But I just got paid.
I shamelessly will say that is pop country. That's pop country.
It's pop country, right on the line. He wore a very form-fitting T-shirt and jeans, and then you had Casual Drifter, who couldn't be more cosmic and out there from East Nashville.
So I wanna ride in the car Hank died in.
On the same stage as Kate Morris, who is also has that kind of pop country diva sound. It's a wide range of things.
And we had Aji, who was in from Brooklyn.
Who was pretty impressive.
Just dropping in. He did his kind of hip hop country. He's really great. AJII.
He can sing.
Yeah, he can.
That was impressive. Really impressive.
Whoa, I'm guessing you all like to take it slow. Barely made it through an episode.
Definite country undertones, as we've said before, as I've said to you. The only definition of country music, it's like pornography. You know it when you hear it.
Yep.
That's all there is to it.
His song sounded country to me.
And just everybody in general, like the beauty of country is that it's such a big umbrella. And I get to play so many different genres of music, subgenres, and it's all country because it is.
Because you said it is.
Yeah.
So that gets me into, I think, the core of our musical discussion tonight. We'll keep going a little deeper on this. I think it's quite an interesting thing, this power that you have. You're self-described the band leader of the Opry of the West. I'm going to keep that going because that's just going to happen.
I mean,
you said
look,
it's there.
Act
but
as
it's
if,
a lot
right?
of power. Yeah, but it's a lot of power. I think that you do get the chance to platform some of these people who are coming up who might not get that, or who already do and wouldn't necessarily share the stage with some of these other folks. And there's a feeding that takes place. There's an influencing that takes place. There's a sharing that takes place in music. Generally, when you force people to bang their music together, you might end up getting a kind of a different experience than you would if you were only listening to the music out of East Nashville versus the music off of Music Row, or the stuff from Atlanta or Austin or wherever. And I think in LA, you get a lot of freedom to do that. So it's interesting to have this kind of power. What does that mean? Are we creating a different type of music environment here in Los Angeles that may not have existed before?
I've had a taste of power and I just want more. It's really exciting and awesome to be able to do that, is kind of the bottom line. And there's so many great people making music in Los Angeles. I really want to see somebody break homegrown from our show, from LA first and foremost, because LA pride. I love LA. I love LA country music. And I would love to be even a footnote in that journey for somebody. You know what I mean? And but I feel like I'm more than that. I've had people come and tell me just by people having seen on their Instagram that they were performing at Desert 5 spot, they got gigs from it, and they this, that, and the other thing. It's super, 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 super gratifying. I would love to, and it's going to happen. It's happening. Be part of that journey of somebody really, really breaking big out of LA who doesn't have to go to Nashville, quote unquote, have to go to Nashville to take that next step. LA is so vibrant and, you know, arguably over entertains, where any given night of any night of the week, you can go see almost any kind of music spread out over all of Los Angeles County, which is massive.
Very large. Yeah.
Massive. I mean, there is no music scene like the LA music scene, I don't think. There are things in common that are shared, and it's the only music scene I've ever known, because I've been playing, like, to get back to the beginning, of since I was 16. So I know it. I know how it's pretty tough too. A personal goal of mine is to help an artist break out of LA using this platform that we have.
It's interesting because what you're saying, I think, has a deep connection to the oversaturation of both talent and entertainment in LA, right? Is that you have some of the greatest musicians, artists, actors, entertainers of all stripes who come here to make it. And then you have millions of people who do live here. So the idea that it would be a massive success for someone to break out in the place where they came to do that, I think it's telling that it's so hard to do here. And I wonder if there's something that in this style of project that you have, the Y'all Star Revue, is that if this is something that will help break that oversaturation, uncurated mass of enjoyment that could be done, but is so overwhelming that you can't get into it. It's like the streaming effect, right? It's like you have every piece of entertainment in front of you for pennies on the dollar of what it used to be, but you go back and you watch the same bad TV show over and over again. If you're creating a space that's more curated, it may work out better. It's like giving your kids the right decision, but letting them think that they made it.
Yeah, I prefer freedom from choice. Freedom of choice, especially when it comes to like streaming music and stuff like that. I'm either going to listen to something I've listened to or something completely out of left field, or anyway, it's going to be overwhelming for me, for someone with, especially with a personality type like myself. And the fact that this place exists, Desert Five Spot, and the fact that I have, that we have our night, instead of lamenting the state of the music industry and the live music industry, or whatever you want to call it, which I've been doing since I was 16 years old, I was like, hey, maybe I'm in a position now where I can actually like do something about it by doing this. So
that's quite cool. What I wonder, to wrap this all up, is like, how does this both play into and help change the face of country music? Because there is, stigma connected to it. There is kind of a stodgy, conservative with a lowercase c feel to country music for a lot of reasons. Some of them less good, but all of them like a legitimate type of thing. Is there a place in country music for all of these people? And I think you've already answered that, but is there a place that's a line too far? Is there something that's just too much and too far beyond to be really called country music?
No, because that's not what country music is. It's not even what it means anymore. Like, country music evolves on its own, just like any other maxi genre. What's, biologically speaking, like genus? It's a genus of music now or something. I don't know what the terms are of what nests into what, right? That kind of gets back to my origin story of like being in the rock world. And granted, I'm a sample size of one. I'm not speaking for the entire rock world back in the, whatever years it was that I was doing it. But everyone was always so worried about being cool. Nobody ever discussed, like, they talked about like rock music we liked, but we never really thought further back than that. Again, sample size of one, and me and my friends and what we talked about and what we're into musically. Whereas in the country world, we all celebrate the history of it, right? Because we are that direct lineage to an original music of America. So for the most part, I defy anyone who thinks they like one subgenre of country to not have fun listening to a honky tonk song. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has a freaking blast. Yeah. So no, there is no bridge too far. Anyone gatekeeping of any kind in music, everyone has their opinion. Who am I to say what's good music and what's bad music? Yes, of course, there's objectively like bad music. Of course, that, like, whatever that means, out of tune, but some people like it.
I actually don't think anyone likes it. I think they're trying to say that they like it. I'll die on that hill.
Fair enough. But yes, I think there's a level where it reaches where it's objectively bad music. Typically, with the music I don't like is just like boring to me. That's kind of the bottom line. That's really all there is to it. It's like just boring. There's so many ways still to build on traditional honky tonk music that, it's just a little, that chord change is just a little Oh yeah, like just where he went with that is just a little different. The melodies, a little different. The clever lyrics.
I find myself trying to figure that out a lot. It ties nicely back to kind of parenting, right? Is like, what's the right thing to do and what's the wrong thing to do? There's usually not any sort of clear answer. There's probably a couple things you probably shouldn't do across the board, both in music and in parenting. It's just an interesting question, right? It's like, where do you draw the line? I think your approach is interesting and perhaps not one that all of our listeners will agree with. I can't wait to get the heated email I get back from.
I think we can
our
all
listener on this.
agree that the only person who can define what, let's just use the old cliche of what real country music is, for that person is that person. You know what I mean? I would challenge people to be even more specific than that and actually like break it down into like, because the country music umbrella, the genus, the whatever it is, what can we just Google? What is that called? What is that? You consider what we consider real country music, quote unquote, now was pop crap in the 60s. And,
Correct.
you know,
That's
what Willie Nelson,
my biggest thing.
that was what, you know, Willie Nelson moved to Texas to get away from, was that syrupy stuff. The beginning of my country music journey, I was like, well, George Jones is cool, but a little syrupy, it's not like what I was really into that got me into country music.
He stopped loving her today. It placed a wreath upon his door.
Obviously, my thoughts have changed a lot now, but if country music didn't evolve, it would die. Instead, it evolves and it continues to be part of it, and it really shouldn't even. The only reason it's like separated out from other music is because of, you know, race stuff. What I've learned from Cocaine and Rhinestones, what I walked away from that, and the country music documentary was, it was separated because of race, right? More or less. Like you had your race stations and you had your, what were the other one?
Hillbilly Records.
Yeah. So anyway,
What I will say, I'll plug my favorite academic book right here, is that if
Okay.
you like that storyline, you should definitely read it's called Creating Country Music, Manufacturing Authenticity. And it is absolutely one of the greatest books I've ever read on country music. It blew my mind. It changed the way I thought about things and helped a lot with framing some of this stuff up. It goes to show you just how important the storyline is. It becomes much more of a marketing question, and it's how you market all of this stuff, right? There's a reason why it's called bro country. It's a reason why they called it outlaw country. It wasn't anything different than the next evolution of what was coming along. And I would argue some of the regressive look back styles that come, the reactionary music that takes place every, call it 20 years. Outlaw music was reacting to the syrupy George Jones, but that also happened like 10, 15 years after the end of the Bakersfield Sound Revolt, which happened at a different point when there was a derivation between the local scenes where there was much more influence of wherever you were from. If you were in California, the Mexican sounds, from Texas, the Mexican sounds as well. You have Nashville, you had hillbilly music, you had the Appalachian impact, but then you nationalized with larger and stronger radio stations, and then that became homogenized, and you had Western and you had country, and then those two came together, and then you had revolts and reactions and progressions. And all of it is, I think, what makes country music interesting is that you have this evolution and then you have this regression that pushes on each other back and forth. I think the most interesting thing you said, to tie it back to today's arguments, is that what we see as classic country music today is George Jones, but we also see Willie Nelson in that same breath. Those two things are diametrically opposed in the times that they came up. You couldn't have the Armadillos and the guys in Nashville playing together. That wouldn't have happened. But now you have on a classic country station, either terrestrial radio or satellite radio, those guys are playing back to back as classic country, and you could throw Buck Owens in that mix and no one would blink an eye. But that's crazy from a traditional perspective.
Yeah,
It shouldn't exist.
that is, while all the, you know, the nerdy nerds are busy fighting over what is real country music and trying to classify it and silo they're missing the forest for the trees. The real beauty of country music is that it is all inclusive. There is no other genre, family of music that sticks together, that under one roof, you know, whether that be Stagecoach or whatever, like you're getting all these very different styles of music. You know, every style of music that has come from the combination of country, jazz, and blues, which is all American music. All American music comes from those three things, intertwining in one way or another, right? And then they go off, and like I've said, Tyler Mahan said it on some live stream that like there's no genre of music that has changed as much as country music and is still called the same thing.
It's a great quote.
It's a great
I
quote.
use it all the time.
Rock music becomes heavy metal, becomes progressive, becomes so many different subgenres, especially nowadays, that I couldn't even begin to do it. Country becomes all these other subgenres, but it's still all country, and we still all like hang out together. Like that's all that matters to me, is the beauty of it, and like how amazing it is that I'm now in a genre where I can play, you know, a hip hop beat on one song and it works perfectly, and then play a full on Western swing song the very next one, and then play a full on dun 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 bluegrass, all that kind of stuff, and it's all cohesive. And that's the beauty of it, rather than trying to say like what is or isn't country.
I think that's a great place for us to transition into perhaps a conversation about some like actual music. So now it is our time for our recurring segment, the Dad Life Sound Check, where we talk about a new song that is speaking to us, an old song that's speaking to us as fathers, as country music fans, or just for some random reason. So we love to let our guests go first. Ryan, tell me a song that's been speaking to you lately.
My song for the week, Donnie, since you asked, is Funny How Time Slips Away, Willie Nelson. That's been covered by many artists. This is, I believe, the original recording. It's off the Willie Nelson, the way I know it is off the Willie Nelson box set, the early years.
Gee, ain't it funny how time slips away?
And I think it was his demo of it that he shopped around to have other artists cover it. I'm one to always ask, like, what are your top 5, your top 10? Because trying to say, like, a favorite is really hard. But this may be my favorite recording of all time in how the recording sounds and the content, the story that song tells, and how there's that vitriol in it and, like, just something about it. And then he's also so sad, clearly, and then Willie's performance on that song, singing and hitting some of those notes, where he hits those blue notes, is just so beautiful and perfect. And there have been so many moments. I remember once I was on the Smith River in a place called Gasky, California, at the Jedediah Smith Campground, the most beautiful place on earth, the Smith River. And I had that in my headphones, and I listened to it over and over and over again, because, again, it was just one of those moments in time. It just was hitting perfect, and all just listening to the nuance of that recording. So that's my song, is that particular recording of Funny How Time Slips Away. With parenting, obviously, I will just say I have one of my daughters is eligible to go to college this year, so things are changing, and they always do. In that short period of time that you're in right now, it is funny how that time slips away.
Yeah.
Like, really, really does. So that's my song.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's funny. My wife got me a coffee table book, Willie Nelson songs, that have the lyrics on one side and like a little explanation that he gave on the other. And I started reading it with my oldest son, and we'd listen to the music. We'd read along with the lyrics, and then we'd read the story. And when that one came on, he was like, "That's a good song. I like that one." And that one hit hard, because I was like, "Oh man, he's starting to get it."
That recording too, that
So
particular performance, as the verses progress, how's your new love? I heard you told him that you'd love him till the end of time. That's the same thing you told me, and then the next verse is like, you'll regret this. By the end of that, it's like, one day you'll regret this. And it's like the way it builds and the way he does it and the way he phrases it on that performance is just, anyway, I could go on and on. It's so perfect.
Yeah. The story that accompanied the lyrics really explained the building of that. How like it's a good one. That's a cool book. I'd recommend it. We'll put it in the show notes for those who would like to take a look. You have to say show notes at least once in a podcast. That is in the rules of
Today's
podcasting.
secret word is show notes.
Show notes. All right.
Hit that skrizzle, subscribe, like and subscribe, everybody.
Just like and subscribe. Anyhow,
check out my links.
Mine
here.
is.
You could go to my socials here and here.
Yeah, exactly. So my song for tonight and for this show is Songbird, Waylon Jennings' most recent release off of the album that's coming out this month. And it's so good. It's just so beautiful.
With you, it's all right. I know it's
And
right.
the production that Shooter Jennings, his son, put on that is superb. It shows the care and love that he wants to do. And I'm not saying that he doesn't take that type of professionalism to all the work that he's doing, but there's something visceral and deeper in this. It might also be that Waylon Jennings is probably one of the greatest country singers of all time. His voice is incredible and powerful. Shooter's an incredible producer, and I think he really brings out the best in the people that he works with. You don't always know that it's a Shooter Jennings production, but you always know who's performing, and it makes them seem better at what they're doing. And I think that's what a producer really should be doing, is elevating the art of the people that he's working with or she's working with or they're working with. I think that's quite impressive, his approach to this music and all of the music that he's been putting out. He's been putting out a ton. There seems to be love in this, and I don't mean it to seem trite or contrived. It's just so beautiful, and the song sounds so good. And the other, performers that he brought in and background singers, and these are the best in the business across the board. I've talked to Shooter a couple times, actually, most of them at the Desert 5 spot during the Showbud show, which was just wild and unbelievable. And he really is a deeply caring person who wants the music that he is helping create to shine all by itself. And it's very clear that he's taking even more care of this music, and I am real excited to listen to the whole record when it comes out. And it will be out by the time you're listening to this, so go throw that on and try not to cry as you do the dishes or like work in the yard or whatever it is. But it's a really timeless and powerful song, even though it was recorded so long ago and being produced today. It feels like it's of today and of then at the same time. I find it to be very powerful. It's really nice.
Waylon for sure, top country singer of all time, one of them. I totally agree with that. I love Shooter. Every interaction I've ever had with him has just been so great. He loves music so much. I can only guess what it means for him to be doing this with his dad's music, with this vault that he uncovered. I forget the exact story, that it was all of a sudden there they were, and just this incredible stuff, and being able to do that and live that legacy. And I am very happy that is a Los Angeles thing. I'm very happy that Los Angeles has Shooter Jennings, that we get to claim him as our own, and he's such a great guy. Like I said, in every interaction I've ever had, he's just been super enthusiastic. We've had a few of his artists that he's produced and worked with play with us. Alicia Blue was one of the more recent ones. Did you see that show? That was really, really good.
I don't know if I did.
You should check her out. She's great. My band backed her for a set, and she comes out to Nashville, and we're able to do that for that kind of act. And she was out here recording with Shooter. Anyway, I love what he is doing, and very, very cool, and very stoked to see that he gets to do this.
Final thing of the night, and I didn't tell you about this ahead of time because it is the lightning round. This is an old segment that I want to bring back because it helps me out.
Do I need to lock in for this one or what?
You should lock in for this. So this is an old segment. We hope to bring it back, especially as Dave is still on family leave, in which we ask the dads who are our guests a list of one-line questions and hopefully get one-line answers. You ready? So here we go. Jones or straight?
Jones.
That's the right answer. And we can talk about that more later if you want. All right. Now, chunky or smooth peanut butter?
Smooth.
That's also a good answer. I respect either. I'm more of a smooth man.
I'll have
myself.
both. I
will have both.
I love
Yeah.
peanut butter. I love the sugar garbage peanut butter. I love the natural peanut butter that you have to stir for 14 hours. That's what I grew up on. It helps if you have a paint mixer at home, but I will not turn down any peanut butter. Sorry, that was longer than one line.
It's okay. For the love of peanut butter.
For the love of peanut butter. Had to be said.
Smooth on sandwiches, though, is
agreed.
Is
yeah,
superior.
if I'm buying peanut butter,
superior.
it's going to be smooth.
It's superior.
And did we mention that I have daughters? Because they also like the smooth stuff.
Yes.
Around this house, it's a smooth Jif house. They won't even
Jif
put up
house.
with Scudders. I'm a Scudders man, but they will not put up with the Scudders because they think it's too gross that something natural exists in this world.
Country Music Dads, sponsored by Scudders.
Laura Scudders.
We'll take it
LS.
any way you want to. Any way you want to give it to us, we will eat that peanut butter regardless of shaking. Moving
Start
along,
the clock again.
starting the clock again. All right, here we go. Beer or whiskey?
Whiskey.
Whiskey or wine?
Whiskey.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
You could play in one band at any time in history. What band and when?
Willie Nelson's backing band throughout his entire history of his career.
So would you also now be 90 years old?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
If I could live the life, if I could live alongside Willie Nelson for his entire life, I would be happy to be at the end of my life right now with him, jamming as hard as we could.
Until the end. All right. And
Yeah.
if you could attend one show anytime in history, what would that show be?
Oh, wow. I don't feel like I know enough about historical shows. And all the ones that jump out are not like country shows necessarily.
That's fine. That's fine.
No, I know. I'm not. I wasn't asking for permission. Come on, Don. I was just. This is called thinking out loud. It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style. I'm just my thought
need to phone a
process
friend?
here. I mean, you want to say like what? Woodstock 99, not that 60s bullshit. It's got to be the one. It's got to be the one with
Where
Limp
everything
Bizkit.
got lit on fire.
Yeah, whatever, like 2006 or whatever. The Limp Bizkit one. That other stuff. That's no. We got Woodstock 67 or whatever it would be.
Yeah. 69.
69 was the 69. Thank you. But I'm sure there's other ones that I don't know of that I'd rather go to. I mean, then there's like the Beatles playing Shea Stadium. What are other like legendary? What have other people said?
This is a new question. I'm bringing
Oh.
back the segment. So I think that's
What's
cool.
like the
I mean,
Can we talk then? What's the most
Yeah, let's
legendary
do it.
concert in country music history? Like I would say, it would truly be like one of those ones that was on like George Jones's farm. I would love to
Yeah,
do
it
that,
could
or
be.
Willie's Ranch or something like that, where it's like something like that.
one of the
would be my
original July
answer.
4th.
Like maybe like
Yeah.
have being side stage at Farm Aid or something like that would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like whatever the most legendary one of those was, maybe. But the true answer, but I can't answer specifically, would be like one of those ranch concerts or something where it's like Willie and George Jones and whoever. Like, is there a legendary? What's like a legendary?
There was a pretty legendary one of those, and I'd have to go back and check the year, but I believe it was in the late 60s or early 70s at Willie's farm, where George Jones showed up. He was a little bit messed up at that point. And so like all the guys took up a collection and gave him money, tried to like get him functional, and they all sang together, and you had these guys with long hair hippie types and wearing leather vests and cut off jeans, and then George Jones in his golf shirt and pressed slacks, and they were all just banging out classic country songs. I think that would be pretty cool.
In that neighborhood, the first time
yeah.
maybe Bill Monroe played the Grand Ole Opry would be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction to that. Sorry, this is more than one line, but it got me thinking about
This
things.
one's fun.
Like historically speaking, like something like that would be, and to kind of see like all the pearl clutching that happened when bluegrass happened at the Grand Ole Opry, which was like sorry, Dave. It was like the effing heavy metal. It's like what like progressive heavy metal is now. That's what bluegrass is and was to country. It was like these shredders doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like this fast pace. Anyway, but like,
No,
and then he didn't play for, right? Like that was the one, he was one and done. Is my history correct on that?
I believe you're right. I believe that's correct.
Or maybe a few and done. But anyway, it was so aggressive.
I'd love to see that. I would love to see the Hank Williams show that he didn't show up to at the Grand Ole Opry. I think having them try to figure out what to do during that period would be pretty cool in a much more modern and very different thing. And I've actually seen this guy live in this place before. I would have loved to have seen Pat Green live at Billy Bob's when he did the recording of Live at Billy Bob's, because he was nowhere near the star he was today when he did that. And it's one of his most popular albums he's ever had. And it essentially, it got him his big record label deal and also pushed him back towards doing the independent Texas thing, which is cool. For sure, the one that I'm sad that I did not go to was the Boys from Oklahoma show in Stillwater in April of last year with Turnpike Troubadours and Cross Canadian Ragweed for their reunion. That would have been awesome, but
That's very awesome.
Like the first night of Passover, I think. So that wasn't going to work for me.
Have you guys ever talked about the Palomino?
Not on this show, but it's crazy acts.
If I could magically wrap up every show at the Palomino and use it for my answer, and I say that because I live probably
like spitting distance from it.
Yeah, probably. I'd be shocked if it was plus or minus over like a mile for, you know, like a mile 10, something like that. It was like, it's right around the corner for me on Lancashire. I'm in North Hollywood. So that would have also, I did not get a chance to experience that in all its glory. So I would have loved, God, oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if I lived a mile away from the Palomino in its heyday? Holy shit.
Awesome.
Jesus.
Yes, indeed. We should rent out the Palomino.
I agree.
And
I'm
throw
down.
a massive concert there. All right, I'm going to wrap this. Thank you for listening. The best way to support us is to subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever podcast platform you use. If you want to see new episodes and more content delivered straight to your email inbox, please subscribe to our newsletter, countrymusicdads.substack.com. You can find everything we do on our website. You guessed it, countrymusicdads.com. And we'd love to hear what you think, so send us your comments, suggestions, friendly banter on Instagram at countrymusicdads or by email at countrymusicdads@gmail.com. Stay tuned for our next episode next month. We're working on some incredibly cool things for you. So until next time, whether you're at the dance hall, the playground, the schoolyard, or just folding some laundry, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Unctuous, I think, is a good word for it on this. I mean, it's just like there's so much in it.
But the oily?
I think it means unctuous, isn't it? Onomatopoeic. There we go.
No, I think it means like an oily, like car salesman. Am I wrong?
You're right. It's a slip
And
of the tongue. I had too much unctuous food.